everyone, this is Amanda from Photographer Hack, and I had a question come up, I guess. I was commenting back and forth with Megan Lukes regarding this lovely picture. She had actually written in her caption that Instagram cut off the top part of the image, which showed a really beautiful part of the sky. And Instagram does have a vertical crop limitation, which is a 4:5 aspect ratio. And so you do kind of have to work within that limits. And in this case, because of where her son was standing so close to the bottom of the frame, there was really no way that she would be able to crop this in order to show off that sky without cropping off her son's feet, which I don't think that that would work in this image. Sometimes you can get really creative with your crops, but I don't know that that would have worked in this image, and it certainly wouldn't have fit in with her style. And so I said, oh, well, you could show us in your Insta stories. And she goes, yeah, I can't really figure out how to put my DSLR pictures on my Insta stories. And I started writing back a comment, and then I realized there are actually some really weird, finicky things about Insta stories. So hopefully you guys will find this helpful and a little bit of a workaround. One thing that I would say is that you can always you could always place an image on a white border. It would have looked very weird and out of place on her grid view. So if you're looking at someone's grid view, like this is Megan's grid view, let's say she decided she wanted to add a border around that picture, which is right here. Oh, you can see here how it kind of crops off his little legs there. But if she wanted to do that, you would see that white border in her grid view, and it would look a little odd. I mean, it's not like a huge deal, but again, you could always do that in Photoshop. I'm going to tell you how to do that in the, or maybe I'll do a video of it. So I can show you how to do that as well. But here's some little tips when it comes to your Insta stories. First things first, I'm going to tap my little home button to go to my home screen. Now from my home screen, and I don't know if you guys are aware of this, there's some swiping tricks in Instagram. If I'm in my home screen, which means that it's blacked out, you can see it's black. If I go to my magnifying glass, you'll see that the magnifying glass gets a little bit more black or bolded. If I hit my heart button or my notifications, that's going to turn black. So that shows me on my menu bar on the bottom what page I'm in Instagram or what section I'm working in. So if I go to my home screen, I have two swipe functions. Think of it like a book. And you can remind yourself of which way to go. If you're looking at the very top of your screen where it says Instagram, you're going to see a camera, which will take you to your camera or your Insta story on the upper left-hand corner, and then the little paper airplane, which is those two little triangles. That means your messages, your direct messages. So you could tap that. You could tap it and go there, or you could tap your paper airplane to go there. But what I'm going to do is I think it's quicker, to be honest. I mean, I know it's a tap versus a swipe. I like to swipe. So if I want to go to my camera to go to my Insta stories on my home screen, I'm going to swipe from left to right. I'm swiping, and then to get back, I can swipe from right to left like I'm turning the page of a book. If I want to go to my messages, I'm going to swipe from right to left. And then if I want to go back, I'm going to swipe from left to right. So definitely play with your phone screen and your swiping, and you'll find out some cool tricks there. So let's go back to my Insta story. My phone is just on the table, so that's why it's black. You can kind of see there. So what you can do for Insta stories, and this is a swipe trick, if you wanted to post something from your camera roll that you've taken within the last 24 hours, you can go ahead and swipe from top to bottom. So I'm going to take my finger and I'm going to swipe from top to bottom. And it's going to pull up anything that was added to my camera roll within the last 24 hours. So these are the three things that you can see there. Now, if I wanted to go ahead and post one of those things, I could certainly do that. But you see a problem here. Now, one would think that I would be able to kind of squeeze to crop. So I'm taking my fingers, I know you can't see this, but I'm trying to squeeze it in and crop it. A lot of tools allow you to do that. Insta Stories doesn't, which is kind of funky. And so obviously this is not ideal at all. And you're gonna run into this when you wanna repost an image on your story that is more of a horizontal or a landscape orientation type of picture, it is not going to look right. To show you that in another way, one that I, off the top of my head, well, let's just see if I'm here with her. Let's see. Okay, so this is more landscape oriented. Let's say I want to go ahead. I'm going to take a screenshot of this. Okay, so I've screenshotted it within the last 24 hours. I'm going to tap my home. I'm going to swipe over. I'm going to swipe from top to bottom. And there it is. Now it's showing the whole screen. So you're like, well, I don't want all that stuff in there. I just want the picture. Okay, well, what can we do? Let me tap out of here. Let me go to my photos. Let me tap this right here. I'm going to tap the sliders. I'm going to tap the crop tool. And then I'm just going to move this like this. Okay, well, I can do that. Hit done. Okay, so there's just the picture. Awesome. I'm going to tap the home button, go back to Instagram, and you would think, and again, it's quirky, you would think if I swipe from top to bottom and pulled it up, yeah, that's not ideal. Again, oh, and you can see the fog, the steam in their breath. It must have been really cold. But okay, so I'm trying to move this over. I'm squeezing it, I'm moving it, and obviously this is so not ideal. You would never want to post this to your Insta stories. So that's also not going to work for us. So what can we do? What's the workaround for it? Okay, so let me show you this. And let me also say a word about Dropbox. So again, one would imagine that if you go into your Dropbox and I'm going to go under recents here. So you would think that anything added to your Dropbox you would be able to just re-export it. So for example, this one right here, let's say I wanted to export this. I'm going to tap the three little dots, the points of ellipses in the upper right-hand corner. I can hit export. I'm going to use the gray toolbar down here to move over slightly and hit save image. That's going to save it to my camera roll or my photos. I'm going to tap out of there. And again, very finicky. So you're going to see that that's there now. Okay. So you'd think, okay, but you can see it's time stamped. Look at the very top of my screen, December 23rd, 2016. It's time stamped and you're like, ah, so you go in your Insta stories, you're like, okay, I just exported it. Where is it? It's not going to be there. So frustrating. Okay. So what we're going to do if we wanted to post that image is we could go back to our photos and we'd screenshot it. Now, I know when I say screenshot, I know that some of you are going, no, it's going to degrade the image quality. It's going to, it's going to look terrible. You're sort of right. You're sort of right. I'm now going to lift up let me do this. I'm going to lift up my phone here. I'm going to go back to Instagram. I'm going to show you guys something. All right. So I'm going to pull up this is my computer. I have this pulled up on my computer. If you Google screenshot image quality loss or image degradation or something like that, you're going to come across a lot of articles that have been shared all over the place. This is from Pixel, but this guy did this awesome experiment where he did a screenshot of his Instagram picture 90 times to show the image loss. And so look at that. And I'm going to just zoom in here. So that's the first. But here's the thing about the screenshot. It absolutely degrades the image quality. And to be honest with you, because I can even notice it after a couple of times, not after one time. And this is my whole point. I don't know if you're going to be able to see this or not, if it's going to focus. It's probably not going to focus well. But my whole point is this. From the original picture to one or two screenshots later, you're not really going to notice it. I don't think it'll be noticeable to the naked eye. So I don't have a problem screenshotting one time. I will tell you that when I make my collages, so like if I go to, okay, so this is a collage that I made. Let's say I was screenshotting these from MomHub, assuming that MomHub actually screenshotted these images. So for example, this one. So I'm assuming they screenshotted it and then they added their watermark. Let's say then I screenshot it again. I do think that, over and over screenshotting is not a good idea. I'm not recommending that. What I always do if I'm going to create a collage is I'm going to go over to Victoria's account specifically. I'm going to find that image and then I'm going to screenshot the original image. So I do believe in screenshotting the original image to preserve as much quality as possible. But I just wanted to show you this because I really felt it was important to show you that it is not a huge deal to do one screenshot. Obviously, this is after 90 screenshots. So this is the original image, and this is after 90. So what I am going to tell you is that you're probably going to have to do a screenshot. But even that can be a little bit funky. So let me swipe back over, and let's say I did want to repost one of my DSLR pictures. I'm going to go to my Dropbox. I'll find an image. Let me find something a little bit more landscape oriented. See, let's do this one. All right, so this is a fairly severe horizontal or landscape oriented picture. Let's say I wanted to upload this to my Insta story. Again, we've seen that when you just export it like you normally would, it is time stamped, and so it won't allow you to post it to your Insta story. We are going to need to do a screenshot here. So, but here's what I'm going to do. You can either, and I think this is where people get tripped up, I can screenshot it right there. And if you don't know how to take a screenshot from your phone, you could just Google it. I'm on an iPhone 6. All I do is I actually I click my circular home button on the front, bottom, middle of my screen. Or the face of my phone, and then the right side button, which actually, if I tap it normally, it just turns the phone off. So when I tap both of those at the same time, that's what takes a screenshot from my phone. Again, you may have to Google it for your model to find out how to do it. So anyway, so I just took a screenshot of it. Okay, cool. So I'm going to go to Instagram. I'm going to swipe from left to right. I'm going to go ahead and swipe down. There it is. I'm going to tap it. But then you're like, okay, so I'm seeing all this stuff, 9 items, 4 of 9, the time, and all this other random stuff. We don't want that on our Insta story either. So how do we get rid of that? Well, I think it's pretty easy. You can do this in Dropbox, but also in your photos. So let me go ahead, and I'm going to go to Dropbox. Now, if I'm in Dropbox, whoops, all I have to do, here's another one. All I would have to do is tap the picture, and it blacks out the rest of my screen. Now from here, I take a screenshot. Okay, cool. So let's go ahead and do this. I'm going to tap here. I'm going to go to my photos. Okay, and you can see these here. The other thing I can do, this is the one that I just took a few moments ago, and this is the one that I took that was blacked out. And again, you can see kind of details today, all this random stuff. If I tap the picture, it just all goes to black. I'm going to swipe to go to the other one. This was a screenshot that I took, and so when I tap here, you're still going to see all that junk. So let's say I export a picture. Let me go back to my Dropbox. I'm going to go ahead and tap those points. I don't know why it keeps moving. I'm sorry. I'm going to tap those points of ellipses. I'm going to hit export, move the gray over, tap save image. It's going to export it. Okay, I'm going to go into my photos. There's this one. Now look, so this is how it was exported, okay? Now if I tap the image, it goes black. And what I can do from here is I can take a screenshot. So I did just show you 2 different ways. I hope that wasn't confusing. But this one is actually the screenshot from Dropbox where I tapped on the image and made it go black and I took a screenshot. This is a picture that I exported from Dropbox first, and then once I'm in my camera roll, my photos, I can tap it, the screen will go black, and then I can take a screenshot of it. Now I'm going to tap over into Instagram. I'm in my home screen. I'm going to swipe from left to right. I'm going to go ahead and pull down or swipe down from top to bottom. Whoop, I guess that was not very, there we go. And so now you can see my options here. So I can tap on this one, and it gives it a nice black background. Let's see, I'm going to tap over here. That's the same one. If I want to go to this one, again, you have a nice black background. Now, if you don't want a black background, I'm going to show you how to kind of work around that. Maybe I'll just, I'm just going to show you right now with my phone. All right, so this is my computer screen. Let's go ahead and okay, cool. I'm going to use this picture. I'm going to go to File, new, or you could do Command N to pull up the reflection. Okay, so now what I'm gonna, this worked, but what you can do is you can set up a preset. These are my recent ones that I've used, 1/2 by 11. If I'm doing something that needs to be printed, that's how I'm doing a meme or a graphic, I'll use 1080 by 1080. You're gonna want to use these dimensions. You're gonna wanna use 2.424, 4. Let me emphasize, I'm on an iPhone 6. If you're on a 6 Plus or a 7 or a 3, 4, 5, if you're on an Android or whatever other phones there are out there, I don't even know. Just Google. I Googled iPhone 6 screen dimensions inches, and that's all I Googled, and it was very easy to come up with these dimensions. So I am working in inches. My orientation is portrait. So I can go ahead and create this, this white background. So if you need to have a white background, so there's my white background. So now what I can do is I'm going to go over here to that image that I want to move over. You can see here, if you're not already in the Move tool, you can hit the V key on your keyboard. That's V as in Victor. And I'm just going to go ahead and I'm on a Mac, and I'm just going to take this and drag it up to the tab, and then I'm gonna drop it down. Boom. Okay, so now I've dropped it down. Now it's not ideal because you can see the image is a lot wider than the dimensions that I'm looking for. In fact, if I hit Command T, you can see kind of what I'm working with here. So now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna hold down my Shift key, and I'm going to grab one of the corners, and I'm gonna go ahead and make this a little bit smaller. I'm not sure how I'm gonna do this while I'm holding on to my phone, but let me do this. All right, I've got my Shift key. I'm gonna grab my corner. And the reason I'm holding down Shift, and the reason that is so important, is that I don't want this picture to get warped. It is gonna get warped real funky like if I don't hold down my Shift key. Okay, so that's really hard to do with one hand. So now what I can do is I can go ahead and place this. Obviously, it's a little too small now, so I can play with it. And I can go ahead. You see that pink line that shows up in the middle? That lets me know that I'm centered. So I can move this around however I want to. I mean, heck, I'm in Photoshop. I can add a text layer and add some font down here and whatever I want to do. I can hit Return or Enter to go ahead and place that. And so now, if I save this picture, this JPEG to my, or PNG to my Dropbox. If I then export that to my camera roll, I can go ahead and use that. Why don't I just do that real quick? I'm gonna File, Save As, Dropbox, it defaults Photoshop. I'm just gonna do JPEG, and I'm gonna save. All right, so we'll go ahead and see what that looks like. I'm gonna go ahead and put the phone down. I'm gonna swipe back over. Let's go into Dropbox and see what we can do. Let's see if I can find it. There it is. Takes just a minute. And this is the way that I have always moved documents from my laptop to my phone, is that I have a Dropbox app on my phone, and then I also have the free Dropbox plan on my computer. I'm gonna tap, it's gonna take a while, especially since I'm recording. So I'm gonna tap the 3 little dots, the points of ellipses. I'm gonna export it. I'm gonna move this over, save image. It's gonna export it, even though it's not giving me a preview, it's still building the preview, that's okay. I'm gonna go into Instagram. I'm in my home screen, swipe from left to right. I'm gonna swipe down, and there it is. So that's another way that you can do that. And hopefully that will help you if you're in a situation like Megan, where you really want to preserve a part of the image. You don't want to create a white border necessarily to mess up your grid view on Instagram, like your profile page that people come from, if that would look weird for you, which I think it really would for her. But if you want to share something in your Insta stories, but this weird severe vertical orientation is messing you up, that's what I would do. Again, 2 different ways that I've shown you. I've made a white background in Photoshop using the dimensions of my screen. So that's one way to do it. And then the other way I did it was I took a screenshot And all I did was I blacked out the rest of the screen by tapping on the picture, blacking out the rest of the screen, taking a screenshot of it, tapping over to Instagram, going to my stories. I'm going to swipe from top to bottom, and from there I can choose which pictures I want to put in there. Because again, you really don't have much of an option when I mean, you cannot crop at all in your Insta story. So I hope that was helpful. I will also put some verbiage to this in the blog post in case it was a little confusing, because I know I showed you a couple of different things in a short amount of time. But I hope that was helpful. You can either have a black background or a white background, and there's some ways to get around that. Thanks so much for watching. Please let me know if you have any other questions about either this. Any questions about what I did here in this tutorial, or if you have any other Instagram questions for me, please let me know, because I would love to do a tutorial and maybe show you a workaround. If there is one, I'll do the research. I'll figure out how to do it if I don't already know, and then I will share it with you. Thank you so much for watching.